Or because the signal usually isn't about who she wants, it's about what she needs to feel in that moment. That's where most people misread it. They see a look, a shift, a touch of confidence, and assume desire. But lustful body language often shows up long before desire does, and sometimes when desire is barely there at all. Think about the last time you noticed it. The held eye contact that lasted just a beat too long. The slow adjustment of posture. The casual brush of hair that didn't need fixing. It felt intentional. It felt charged. But what if the charge wasn't sexual? What if it was psychological pressure leaking out? Here's the uncomfortable part. Lustful body language is rarely spontaneous. It's learned, conditioned, practiced, and reinforced by outcomes most people never see. It usually starts early, not in a seductive way, in a survival way. Attention becomes feedback. Validation becomes safety. Being noticed becomes proof of worth. So the body learns before the mind does. A girl notices that when she sits a certain way, people listen more. When she speaks softer, she's treated differently. When she holds eye contact, the room shifts. No one explains this. No one has to. The environment teaches it. By adulthood, those signals can fire automatically. Not because she wants someone, but because she wants the feeling that follows. The certainty, the grounding, the relief of being seen. This is where confusion begins. Because the signal looks like invitation, but the motive is often stabilization. Watch how it appears in ordinary moments. At a bar, she leans in while talking, even though she can hear fine. At work, she laughs a little longer with one person than another. At a party, she mirrors posture without realizing it. Nothing explicit, nothing planned, just a body reaching for equilibrium. And here's the cost no one talks about. Once attention becomes regulation, silence feels like danger. Neutral rooms feel hostile. Being unnoticed feels like rejection, even when it isn't. So the body compensates. Posture opens, movement slows, expressions soften, not to seduce, to reassure herself that she still exists in the room. That's why misreads are common. One person thinks something is starting, the other is just steadying herself. And when the expectation rises, tension follows. Now add power into the mix, because attention isn't just soothing, it's leverage, not in a villain way, in a human way. When attention shifts dynamics, the body remembers. Suddenly conversations tilt. People offer more, voices change, the room reacts. That feedback loop is intoxicating, even if it's subtle. So certain signals get refined. The glance that invites pursuit without committing. The smile that warms without promising. The closeness that can be withdrawn at any moment. Control without confrontation. This is where things quietly erode. Because control feels safer than vulnerability, and signals feel safer than honesty. Over time, lustful body language becomes a shield. It keeps distance while appearing open. It attracts while protecting. It offers a version that can be reclaimed if things go wrong. But shields are heavy. They demand maintenance, and they confuse people who are trying to be real. Here's a mundane loss most never notice. Conversations stop being about connection. They become about effect. How did that land? What did that shift? Did the room respond? Even alone, the posture stays. The performance doesn't shut off, because dropping it feels like dropping status, or worse, disappearing. This is why some women feel exhausted by attention they seem to invite. The signal wasn't meant to start something, it was meant to regulate something. But once released, it creates momentum, and momentum demands response. Now layer in emotional security, because body language often speaks where words feel risky. Instead of saying, "I feel unsure," the body leans closer. Instead of saying, "I'm afraid of losing relevance," the body amplifies presence. Instead of saying, "I need reassurance," the body invites pursuit. It works until it doesn't. Because reassurance that comes from reaction fades fast. It has to be renewed, again and again, with new eyes, new rooms, new feedback. That's where the pressure cycles tighten. Attention becomes temporary relief. Relief becomes dependence. Dependence becomes anxiety. And anxiety sharpens the signal. Notice how lustful body language often increases when someone feels least secure, after a breakup, during uncertainty, in unfamiliar spaces, when identity feels unstable. It's not confidence leaking out, it's tension trying to escape. Now consider conditioning. Media doesn't teach desire, it teaches reward. Certain looks get rewarded, certain behaviors get amplified, certain expressions get remembered. So the body learns the fastest path to impact, not fulfillment. Impact. This creates a quiet conflict, because being desired isn't the same as being known, but one is faster. And speed matters when you're uncomfortable with stillness. Over time, this shapes identity. I am the one who turns heads. I am the one who gets attention. I am the one who creates reaction. The danger isn't judgment, it's fragility. Because when identity is built on response, absence feels like failure. A neutral glance feels like loss. A quiet room feels personal. This is where long-term cost shows up. Intimacy becomes harder, because intimacy requires being seen without signals, without leverage, without armor, and that feels like standing still without applause. So lustful body language keeps showing up, even when it complicates things, even when it sabotages trust, even when it attracts the wrong kind of attention. Because the alternative feels worse. It feels like stepping into a room without protection. Now here's the part most people miss. This isn't manipulation, it's adaptation. The body does what worked before, even if the environment changed, even if the cost increased, even if the original need is no longer being met. And when someone reacts with confusion or frustration, it reinforces the pattern. More attention, more tension, more signal, everyone feels something, no one feels clarity. So what's actually being communicated? Often it's not, I want you, it's I need to feel anchored, or I need to feel powerful, or I need to feel safe right now. Those needs are human. The expression just gets distorted. This distortion creates social friction, because people respond to what they see, not what's underneath. Expectations rise, disappointment follows, resentment creeps in, and the signal gets blamed. But blame misses the point. The signal is a symptom, not the cause. Here's the identity threat hiding underneath. When attention fades with age, context, or change, panic sets in. Because if the signal stops working, what replaces it? If presence no longer commands reaction, what holds the room? If desire no longer arrives on cue, what stabilizes the self? That question stays unanswered for many, so the body holds on tighter, signals sharpen, energy intensifies, until it pushes people away instead of drawing them in. That's the quiet irony. What once created connection starts to block it. Now circle back to the beginning. The look, the posture, the glance. They weren't lies, they were translations of needs that never got words. So here's the one answer worth keeping. Lustful body language is rarely about lust, it's about regulation. But here's the question that stays open. If attention stops doing the regulating, yet what finally will?